Hey, what's up guys? Millermassacre 19 here, and today I'm going to be doing something different from what I normally do. I'm not going to be talking about games, I'm going to be talking about the Rocky movies. I'm going to be ranking them from worst to best in my opinion, not including the Creed movies. My number 6 is Rocky Balboa. I don't hate any of these movies, but this one is my least favorite. It's really depressing. It shows Rocky when he's old and his wife is no longer alive, and his son isn't on very good terms with him. But as the movie progresses, he meets Little Marie, a character from Rocky 1, and helps her and her son, and develops a relationship with them. Then one day at his restaurant, he sees a virtual boxing match on TV, putting him up against Mason Dixon, the heavyweight champion of the world. And it shows Rocky winning, and Mason Dixon sees that and challenges Rocky. They fight, and Rocky goes the distance with Mason Dixon. Doesn't win, but it still proves that age is just a number, and if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. It's a pretty good movie with a good message, but in my opinion, it's my least favorite Rocky movie. Number 5 is Rocky 3. This is the first Rocky movie to have Eye of the Tiger in it, and it's also the first movie to have a villain other than Apollo Creed. Rocky 3 is about Rocky winning the title from Creed and becoming rich and getting cocky when he keeps getting called out by Mr. T, aka Clubber Lang, to fight him. After a while, Rocky accepts, mostly because of Clubber's shit talk and saying stuff about his wife. Then Rocky talks to Mick about fighting Clubber, and Mick says Rocky was fighting hand-picked opponents and how bad it would be if he fought Clubber. Rocky convinces Mick, then on the way to the fight, Clubber pushes Mick, Mick has a heart attack and dies. Rocky fights Clubber, loses his belt, then he trains with Creed and beats Clubber at the end. It's also a really good movie. I like how it actually shows that Rocky is human and can be beat, and I also like how Rocky gets revenge on Clubber and beats him in the end. It's another good movie, just not my favorite Rocky. My number 4 is Rocky 4. I'm a fan of 4, but I could see where its weak point is. A big chunk of the movie is a training montage. Not all of it, but a big chunk. But that is because the movie has a basic story. Ivan Drago, an upcoming boxer from Russia, is beating all of his opponents in dominant fashion. Apollo Creed sees Drago and what is being said on TV, and then he wants to fight Drago. He fights him and gets killed. Rocky should have threw in the towel, even though Creed told him not to. It would have ended better. Anyway, Rocky then wants to fight Drago, agrees to fight him in Russia, trains in Russia, fights Drago, and wins. Again, I like this movie, but a lot of people don't because of the training montages that are really long, and I could see why people don't like it. But in my opinion, it's a good movie, but it's, again, not the best Rocky movie. My number 3 is Rocky 1. The story for Rocky 1 is basic, but good too. The movie shows Rocky when he was an amateur boxer and debt collector for this loan shark. He is in his 30s and is still an amateur. He meets a girl who eventually becomes his wife, Adrian, through his friend Paulie. Adrian is Paulie's sister. Anyway, Rocky's manager Mickey doesn't want to really help Rocky because of him being a debt collector, but after a while wants to because Rocky gets called up to fight Creed because Creed's opponent pulled out, and Creed handpicked Rocky because of his nickname and thinks it will draw people in. The Italian Stallion versus Apollo Creed sounds good to me. Anyway, Mick trains Rocky, then Rocky fights Creed and he goes every round with Creed and loses by a split decision. But it shows that if you have heart and never quit, you won't have any bounds on what you can do. Even though Rocky lost and he put up a hell of a fight, it showed that you can accomplish anything. Anyway, I love Rocky 1. My number 2 is Rocky 2. This movie is about Rocky getting challenged by Creed to a rematch and rejecting it because he wants to retire. He gets even more motivation to retire when his doctors say that he needs surgery for a detached retina. Soon after that, Rocky gets married and gets Adrian pregnant. While Rocky has all that going on, Creed really wants a rematch to show that Rocky competing with him like that was a fluke, so he does whatever he can to get Rocky to accept. He tells his team to put slanderous shit in the newspapers to try and get Rocky to accept. Rocky doesn't at first, but he spends all of his money and can't find a job. He asks Mick to train him. Mick accepts after a while. When he sees Creed embarrassing Rocky publicly with insulting him, Adrian doesn't like Rocky fighting and doesn't support it. Adrian later passes out when Paulie bitches at her for not supporting Rocky. She then goes into a coma. After going into labor, the kid is born fine, but she's still in a coma, and Rocky says he won't leave until she wakes up. When she wakes up, they name the kid Rocky Jr. She tells Rocky to win, and Rocky trains and beats Creed. This movie is a little bit better than part 1, but they are both phenomenal movies. This one has more story to it, in my opinion, and I like that. My number 1 is Rocky 5. This has to be the most disliked Rocky movie for most people, but for me it's my favorite. Most people don't like it because of Tommy Morrison's acting, and that fight at the end isn't a boxing match, it's a street fight. In my opinion, Tommy's acting isn't as bad as they make it out to be, and I also think the street fight is the best ending fight out of all the Rocky movies, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, Rocky 5 takes place right after 4. It shows Rocky in the showers after the Drago fight, and he tells Tony to get Adrian. When Adrian comes in, he says he can't stop his hands from shaking, and when he's talking to Adrian, she says that he should go to the doctor, and he calls her Mick and says that he wants to go home. Adrian can tell Rocky has something wrong with him. After they talk, they fly home. Rocky meets up with his kid, and they go to a press conference, and then Duke, a corrupt boxing promoter / manager, tries to get Rocky to fight his boxer, Union Kane, and Rocky says that he just wants to go home. When Rocky gets home, he spends some time with his kid, and then after that he puts him to bed and overhears Paulie and Adrian arguing about something. It turns out Paulie spent all their money giving it to their accountant, who loses it on the stock market. Then Rocky goes to see if they can do anything about it, and they can't. So Rocky says to the guy that they were trying to get help from to tell Duke that he'll fight Union Kane anywhere, anytime. Then Adrian makes Rocky go to the doctor. When he gets checked out, they find out that he has brain damage, and they don't clear him to fight. So this ranking doesn't go forever. I'm just going to sum up what happens. Rocky and his family lose the house and most of their stuff, and they have to move back to Philly in a house that's around the same area that they lived in the first movie, so it's not that good of an area, and they basically have to start over. Then the rest of the movie is about Rocky meeting with Tommy Gunn and not wanting to manage him at first, then agreeing to after he sees Tommy's skills, and he also gets talked into it by him. Then while he trains and hangs out with Tommy, he spends no time with his son and ignores him, so they drift apart. Then after Rocky helps Tommy win fight after fight, Tommy gets corrupted by Duke when he sees all the money, hot girls, cars, and he also gets a title shot from Duke. And without Tommy knowing, Duke basically tells the champion to lose to Tommy. Then Tommy wins the belt and beats a bunch of cans, which are basically just shitty fighters that make Tommy look good. Then he hears from the media about Duke's bullshit that he pulls with throwing Tommy cans, and they tell Tommy that he'll never be a Rocky Balboa. Then Tommy wants to fight Rocky, so he goes to the bar that Rocky and Paulie are at, and he challenges Rocky to a fight. Rocky declines multiple times. Then Paulie calls Tommy a piece of garbage and a goddamn joke. Tommy punches Paulie. Rocky says to Tommy like a badass, "You knocked him down, why don't you try knocking me down now?" Then Rocky tells Tommy, "My ring's outside." Then Tommy and Rocky have a bloody back and forth street fight with a crowd around them, and it's also on the news, and Rocky's son sees it and tells Adrian. They rush down to see the fight. Rocky beats Tommy and walks up to Duke. Duke says, "Touch me and I'll sue." Rocky punches the hell out of Duke and says, "Sue me for what?" And that's basically the movie. The only thing that I forgot to mention is when Rocky makes up with his son after Tommy turns on him. In my opinion, this isn't the best Rocky movie, but it's my favorite. I like the story of it, the fight at the end, and it's all around the most entertaining movie to me. That's why Rocky 5 is my #1 pick. Alright guys, those are my rankings of all the Rocky movies. Now, I know I haven't been making a lot of videos because I don't really know what to make videos on anymore, because I make like the UFC videos and I don't really get the views anymore, and that's kind of what I've been playing at the time. But now I got the new Modern Warfare and everything. I got like a couple newer games. I don't know if I'd be able to even get the views on those though, because, you know, my channel was all about Friday the 13th now, and it's not about Friday the 13th anymore. That was my highest viewed stuff, so I don't really think I'm going to be putting out as much content as I used to put out, which you guys could probably see that, because I haven't uploaded, besides streams, maybe in like a few months from what I can remember. So maybe when the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game comes out, I'll make content on that. But other than that, I don't know if I'm really going to be uploading like content anymore, so I might upload here and there, but definitely not as much as I used to do when I would make like Friday the 13th videos. So anyways guys, thanks for watching the video and everything like that, and if you stuck with me this far, thanks. I definitely appreciate it, but you know, it's kind of hard to make content when nobody really watches it, and it's completely my fault because I switched my content and everything. But yeah, like I said, thanks for watching the video and everything. So this has been Millermassacre 19. I'll catch you guys later.